Second,
Oh,
like,
wow.
and then in her last shot, also a bullseye.
That's intimidating. I'm not sure if I would have followed up on a second date there, or maybe you have to at that point because maybe you get shot.
The worst part was she got bruised like right around here. Like, you know, they have guards. So it looked like I grabbed her by the wrist or something like that. It was a terrible, awful look. Oh.
Well, yeah. She fell.
Yeah. Yeah, that damn doorknob. Always
Yeah.
getting in the way. So bizarre that used to be a thing. It's so sad.
Well, she really should have been more aware of how angry you were in that moment, Nick. Yeah.
You know what? You're absolutely right. Yes. Yeah. Absolutely right. When are they going to start doing that on the boys? That's what we need next.
Yeah. It's probably coming up at some point or another.
Yeah.
I got the retweets. So I got my fancy new Chad Amaze Cape League hat here.
Congrats on completing the collection. That setup looks real nice.
Okay. Yeah, it's getting there. I'm starting to get some old newspaper clippings and frames and stuff like that from the 2004 Red Sox World Series.
Nice.
That I've just held on to over the years.
Are you gonna get a huge poster of Chris Sale's finger?
Oh my God! Is anybody more snake bit than him? I had to laugh when I saw that.
Dude, it's a joke. I mean, you can say what you want about the mechanical stuff and how we could have seen some of those injuries coming. It's like now though, this, like you said, like
his frame and everything. You know, you can pick on that, but there's not all of his injuries have been shoulder related or mechanic related or just
see the rib cage thing, which is weird. Yeah. But that's that situation's a whole. I don't think it was a great move. Like at the time, I was like, well, I get it. Like you're paying for Sale and he's a beast and everything like that. But yeah, he gets
paying for past performance.
Yep, that's exactly what happened. Like,
but they won't do that for Devers or Bogarts because they're so strapped with money now, right?
I mean, but the whole thing with like you didn't. I'm sorry. This is like
I hear
it. Like you didn't sign Mookie. Okay, if you don't sign Mookie, then you're gonna extend Xander, and who already gave you a team friendly deal before and has given you great years since, and then you're gonna keep Devers because and then you're not gonna keep JD Martinez. I think everybody's fine with that. He's a little older, whatever. But like these are young. You're gonna keep your homegrown talent. So got him.
I agree. Oh, nice. Yeah, it's buggy. It's buggy for sure.
That's the one thing I'm going to miss about being on the 8th floor. Usually, I don't have to deal with that.
Well, you're going to have to get used to it now. Yeah.
Yep.
Bring the bug spray.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's get going here. We got the retweets out.
Yep.
We got the show up here. We'll get going in 3, 2, 1. When we're not shooting up Temp V in the bathroom stall, we can be sure to bring the charcuterie plate to the annual Heroghasm potluck orgy. I am Wesley Sykes, and through the other side of the ether is the love sausage to my supersonic. It's Mr. Nicholas J. Esquire, soup for hire.
That was one of the more tongue twister like intros that you've had, and it was flawless.
Oh yeah, I got through it there. It's the beta Alaline. I'm really firing on all cylinders right now.
That explains it. Because I was like, you didn't get through it. You like flying colors. Like you did great with it.
I was really reading. I had a webinar last week on work. Sometimes I bring my podcasting skills into my work world and had to host that. We had like 200 live viewers for this webinar here. Got to read through the scripts. The last time I did it, I screwed up and like fumbled over the words and stuff like that. Just was like ill prepared. Felt like an idiot. This one rocked it.
Nice.
Felt very good. So much so I got $100 Amazon card from my boss. I didn't even expect it.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. Also interesting. A little peek behind the curtain. So I get shit for giving a $6 tip on a $9 cab ride on an expense report, but then they'll give me $100 gift card for just like doing my job. It's like I don't know. It's weird what they pick and choose to be.
They actually said something to you about that?
Yeah. It was. I was under budget too. I've come in. My last 2 trips.
If you're under budget, who cares?
$400-500 under budget. Like, I don't know what you want from me.
Well, see that's the problem. You got to spend that entire budget.
I really should. But I'm trying to be a team player.
Look at you. You always are. So impressive.
In fact, they track everything too. You do the receipts. I can't just go out and spend.
I'd put you'd be on my payback team any day.
Oh, I like that. Okay, we can do that here. Well, yeah. Well, since we're talking about team ups, we're going to be conducting an exit survey of The Boys season 3, of course, starring Anthony Starr. I think he's missing the H, or maybe I am. Carl Urban and Jack Quaid, which of course is now streaming on Amazon Prime Video. But before all of that, Nick, we mentioned the annual Heroghasm potluck orgy. What would you bring to next year's 71st annual Heroghasm event?
I mean, if I'm nicknamed the Love Sausage, I don't think I really need to bring much else. I think I got
Well, you don't
everything
want to be a
covered.
bad guest.
I mean, I think I'd be giving more than anybody else there. That's kind of the whole point, right?
I think you would be giving as much as everybody. I think you'd be giving and taking, just like everyone else.
I guess you could do that. I'd probably just go with chips and dip. That way, I don't screw anything up. Maybe try and get someone to make buffalo dip for me. But but I actually haven't had that in a while. That is so good. That you bring like a nice wine. Nothing too fancy, but like the
A
step
nice
above
like
box wine.
$50, $60 bottle of wine.
Now I'm starting to understand why you get in trouble with these expense reports. It's a little ridiculous.
$50 bottle of wine is not that crazy.
No, it's not. I know. I'd go. No, 50,
nice.
No, 50 is good. I think 50 is good. Anything above that, anything above 50, 60, you're asking for trouble at a mess like that, because who knows what's going to end up in that after you open that thing up.
Yeah, I think so. I think, food is definitely a good. I think wine is probably the best way to go. Maybe a nice egg salad.
Oh, you want an egg salad?
I'm thinking food here, and I'm like, maybe the real question should have been like, what would you eat before participating in the Heroghasm event?
Oh, before? Oh yeah, you got to have some.
What do you eat to fuel up?
You got to eat some pasta the night before, and stuff that is not going to cause me to have gas.
Right. So whatever I just ate, avoid. Yeah.
That. Yeah. Did you have that? What did you say? Egg salad or whatever the hell that was?
Yeah. No, I definitely wouldn't touch egg salad there. But I think that the pasta is an interesting one. Definitely the night before, kind of like a big race, right? But not before the day of, right? Not the day of the event, because I feel like that would weigh you down. You feel a little sluggish. I think it's just like chicken, just like grilled chicken, something that's not going to make your breath stink. High protein. Definitely like maybe take like a liquid IV little packet with you, a couple bottles of water. You want to definitely keep your fluids replenished.
Gotta be drinking a ton the first few days before. Absolutely. Chicken
maybe
and rice.
Just get a Camelback. Bring that in with you. So because when you're in the buff, you can still wear the Camelback and just kind of still be plowing and getting your fluids in.
What is a Camelback?
Oh, a Camelback. It's a backpack with the water. You can hold up into like a couple gallons in there. And on the strap, you have like the little tube that you can just drink right out of. It's like a military type of thing, but I think it's pretty mainstream now.
I know exactly what you're talking about now. I didn't know what that name though.
Oh, yeah. I think, it's like Velcro. It's like one of those things, like that's the name of the company. And just because like they just become associated with that type of product.
Gotcha. Okay. And on that note of the boys too, I know we got to do some other stuff before we get to the review, but you've brought in your intro, you bring up two things that are featured much earlier in the comics than they are in the show. And I know we don't do our we have our exit survey, so it's kind of different where we're not just go over those things, but try and remind me of that when we get there. Help me remember that, because some interesting little things. Anyways, we got to get to trending now, I think, first, right?
Yeah, of course. Before we do all that here, we have 14 years ago, As a Crow Flies, Nick, The Dark Knight by Christopher Nolan, of course, starring Patrick Bateman, Christian Bale is really what I want to say, and the late Heath Ledger. Of course, one of the greatest, I think, widely accepted movies, comic book movies of all time. But has there been a better solo superhero movie that's been put out there?
Logan.
I feel like that's the only one that can possibly kind of be put up there. Maybe Captain America: Winter Soldier, but definitely not better than that. I think maybe an argument could be made, but not for me.
Man, this is where I should have looked at this before. Like I missed this.
I put it in minutes ago, so
we should have had our lists pulled up for that, like our the DSG list, because I had that movie in my top 10 for sure. I can't remember exactly where. Right now, I still like the Batman more than I like this one.
Wow. Okay, so you have that one there.
But Logan, like, so for my list, I had Logan as my number 3 movie, but it was my number 1 solo superhero movie. And I feel pretty comfortable standing by that one. Yeah, like that, like, and that's I know you have Professor Xavier, but you have the Joker in the Dark Knight, but still, like, genre bending or whatever.
I think the Dark Knight and Logan are in that similar vein, that similar palette, where they're both legacy characters, well-renowned characters, particularly with Batman and the Joker, right? 2 premier characters, but also with Logan. And it's dark, right? So it kind of transcends that superhero storytelling, the superhero story, like you just mentioned, genre bending, but also a little violent too. You know, it's a kind of a cut above that kind of hokey superhero type of stuff. So it does a lot of things right. So yeah, I would say Logan with that one. That for 14 years ago, as a crow flies, Dark Knight release. As we look back, let's look forward for a quick minute, Nick.
Oh,
San Diego Comic-Con is this week, as a crow flies, as one would say. Any hot takes about what we should expect? We'll see. Doesn't have to be Marvel related. I know you're a big Mando guy.
Well, I'll tell you what. I think coming out of this, we're gonna look back. What's happened the past few years, or I guess we haven't had San Diego Comic-Con in a while. But I feel like what's happened over the years is, like, we've gotten a lot of Marvel stuff at these things. And then there's DC stuff, but it's just kind of like, thrown by the wayside. And I want DC to be right there with Marvel. And there's no better time for DC to really make a hard push, because you're coming out of the heels of the Batman still. You got the Harley Quinn animated show coming back, which has been pretty successful. And then in Marvel right now, as much as I'm not worried about where they are, it seems like the general population, the general consumers for this stuff, it's kind of wavering a little bit. I know we'll get to that in a second. So I would like to see DC make a little bit of a push here. I know they've been doing Damage Control too because of Ezra Miller stuff, but I do think
that's exactly what I was interested in. Where do they go with the Flash on this one? Because I don't think we've really discussed this at all in our trending now since it's talked about. But he's had a hell of a summer, or they, right? I think he's a they now.
Oh, you're right. Yes, Ezra Miller is a they. I apologize. Yeah. But that whole thing is a mess, but they'll figure out a way to do it. They're doing Flashpoint, so it's probably a way to get out of that whole mess with them. So
it's so funny because everyone was talking about the Flashpoint as the break class in case of emergency type situation to wash all the previous wrongdoings of the DCEU, right? And now they're like, we'll save it for this. And now all this shit happens with Ezra Miller, and they're like, no, we can't really use it for that. We got to retcon Ezra Miller now, too.
Yeah. Yep. Bring in the guy from the show. Everybody loved the guy from the show. Like, I don't think that was ever a complaint. I forget his name. I feel like it was Grant in some, but anyways.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't watch the show, but I didn't really like the CW stuff. I watched Archer, and that was really, I'm not a huge Flash guy in general, but yeah, I would like to see DC do that, but I really think what we're going to get coming out of this is like, hey, Marvel, we're feeling the heat a little bit. We're going to push out a few big things to get people excited and, not as kind of get over that angst that they have right now from phase 4.
And if DC is smart, they would capitalize on this time. I don't know if they have their own little D23 type event that Disney does that's kind of like their own San Diego Comic-Con, but with Disney doing D23 a little bit later in the summer, I'm sure they'll hold on to some of their bigger, juicier reveals and rumors and stuff like that for its own event. So maybe this is an opportunity DC can capitalize on. I think specifically of like Aquaman 2, right? Isn't that supposed to be at the end of the year, or did that get pushed back? I don't know. I'm just kind of talking off the top of the head here, but
yeah, everything seems to have gotten delayed there. But I was trying to find DC did have its own thing. It was like something Dome or
the Hall of Dome. Oh, DC Fandome.
That's
what it was. Yeah. Okay, now it's all coming back to me now. But we've been talking about Namor, the Submariner, as a rumor to be in Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, which we might be getting a trailer for this week, or again at D23. And he's been talked about that a lot, and I just wonder what's going to happen with Aquaman 2 now that this is getting further and further pushed back. If they now have the MCU equivalent in there, is that just another reason to kind of forget about the DC and what's going on?
Yeah, and their issue, I think, is the Amber Heard stuff that they got going
Well,
on now.
that certainly
Yeah.
doesn't help. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, DC can't get the people that they need to on
I
on
know.
screen. And Marvel is obviously having issues keeping everybody happy at this point. But DC fandom, they did have it last year, and that was apparently it was 66 million people like virtually in attendance. So
Oh, okay.
I hope that we're still going to see some big stuff at Comic Con. I mean, I know Joe and I were talking to somebody recently on TLDR, and they said that they were going to have news relevant to them come out at San Diego Comic Con. So it's not like it's not going to. We're not going to see that stuff, but I just wonder how it's going to evolve because you have D24, whatever the hell it is, in DC fandom and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, we'll stay in the MC universe here for our last topic. Thor: Love and Thunder, of course, our topic of discussion last week.
Yep.
Suffered one of the worst second weekend drops in MCU history this week. That's a 67.7 domestic drop off from an 144 million opening weekend to 46 million. It's next weekend for coming in under 200 million, if my math is correct. There for the domestic box office to date. So just to put that in comparison, the worst domestic drop-off, again, within the MCU, Black Widow, 67.8. Then it's Thor: Love and Thunder, just 1 percentage point under that. Then Spider-Man No Way Home, a little bit surprising, although I think that may have to do with the timing of Christmas and when that was released.
Maybe.
Second weekend there, I don't know. But again, definitely alarming. 67.5. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness then at 67. Stop me when you notice a trend, Nick. We have Eternals at 62.3 at phase, rounding out the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 top 5 there.
So it's Shang-Chi is the only one, right?
Shang-Chi's the only phase 4 movie that did not have that big of a drop or that huge of a drop off there. So the top 10 that we have listed, this was from a Reddit site that compiled this. This was put together on a site called thedirect.com, if I'm not mistaken. Avengers Age of Ultron comes in at the 10th worst second weekend drop-off. It's a wordy title there at just under 60%.
Yeah. Huh. This is the Black Widow one. I would not have expected that. I will say, too, No Way Home.
Let's make statistics live for us right now, Nick. Let's do it.
There's honestly, I'm looking at this list and I'm just kind of stunned by some of it. Eternals makes sense. I think Multiverse of Madness makes sense. Obviously, I think the Incredible Hulk. I mean, come on, of course. Avengers: Age of Ultron, first Avengers. Like, I can understand all of these ones having a huge drop off from a percentage standpoint, but I'm surprised by Homecoming. No Way Home. You did point out a little bit of logic that could be going into that, so that would make sense. But man, yeah, this is not great for Thor: Love and Thunder, but I'm stunned by it though.
So I think there's a couple of threads that you can pull on here depending on the narrative that you want to go down, right? So I think one, it's Marvel fatigue, right? No one is getting sick of it. I think you could say that. I think you could say again with this type of thing, like maybe the content isn't as good to go back that second time around in the theater. So that's one. That's two. Three is the pandemic. How are people reacting to going out to movie theaters in droves during all of this, right? Are people like more apt to go out into a huge public space? Probability wise, I would say that's a decrease there, right?
That's probably Black Widow.
All of these movies, right? Post pandemic.
Well, it's all okay. Yes, fair, but Black Widow was like still in the heart of it, really.
Yeah.
So that's the only one where I look at it as like, okay, that makes sense that one had the biggest drop off because you probably had all the people who are like, we're fine now, like we really want to go see it. It's Marvel, all this different stuff, but now the rest of it, it's a fair point, but it's like I think that's on a different scale or a different spot than the others.
Well, and the other one I'll say too is maybe just the price of movies. Prices going up, inflation, and all that. I just heard a clip from or read a quote from Joe and Anthony Russo, who pretty much were shitting on movies. Albeit, I think they signed a lucrative deal with Netflix, so maybe they have a little bit of an invested interest to say that. But they say like the medium is elitist, is essentially what they're saying. It's like you have to pay all this exorbitant money to go out there. It's so expensive. It's almost like a luxury that maybe shouldn't be afforded today when all these other mediums are available to acquiesce to the audience.
Well, I mean, look, there's a lot of different stuff at play, of course, and all of it, but I personally, when we started seeing more and more of these theaters that like have this luxury seating, it kind of makes sense that's going to happen because you have less seats in the theater, and now you have all these like this cushy stuff. Like if you're going to have people there, you want to make sure that they're paying a little bit more. Like I don't know.
I mean, you're offering the experience too, right? So I think it's again, I don't think it's one of those things. It's probably a mix and match of them, but it's definitely interesting to look at nonetheless. Is this conversation of MCU fatigue or whatever you want to label you want to put on it, right? Is kind of ongoing now.
Yeah, I'm blown away at how, like, you're absolutely right. Like this is a clear sign. As much as you're right, there is this level of there's a lot of factors at play right now, but this is a clear sign. Like there is some level of Marvel fatigue. If we weren't seeing it already with some of the ratings and everything like that, I'm stunned at how quickly people have moved on, or not moved on. Their view of it is changing, and I'm really curious, like what's going to happen in the next phase, like how, like, because that's where I think we're going to start to see more of these things kind of tied together, woven together, like we saw in the MCU, during the Infinity Saga and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But like, are people going to be out? Are they gonna buy back in? I'm very curious how they respond to it.
Much like the MCU needs a leader, I think the fanhood needs like a someone to follow in the direction of, right? So it's like somewhere where we know where it's going. That's a big conversation now. What's happening here? We don't necessarily know. We assume it might be Secret Wars, but it hasn't been, maybe spelled out or spoon-fed to fans. So I think just like, that you're going to get an Iron Man, you're going to get a Captain America, and you can kind of count on those big actors and big performances where, I think what this is saying here, we thought it might be Thor, we thought it might be Doctor Strange, and maybe on an individual basis that can be, but I think on the majority basis here, I think what we might be seeing that is, maybe the general public isn't accepting that as the new leaders of this Phase 4.
It could be that, but I think the thing we talk so much about on here, I know you very much feel this way about the connective tissue, and it comes up in other DSG podcasts too, where we're not getting that in this. And while I am definitely on the side of like, I don't need that, I just want good movies and we're fine. I know it's going to eventually connect at some point. I can't help but look at these numbers here that we're talking about, and then see some of the ratings and whatnot, and it's like, well, when we know this is Marvel's big thing where they connect everything just like a comic book does, that's what you are now, Marvel. And if you're seeing here where like the numbers are dropping off again, as someone who doesn't need that, I don't know how the people who are in charge, including Feige, don't look at this and say, okay, this is what we did in the original like Phase 1 before it was even really called Phase 1. Mm-hmm. We're doing that. They're clearly doing that again here. And to me, again, fine. But how do you not look at it and say, okay, we did it back then, but we've done all this now. We probably should just try and keep it going, and start planting seeds a little bit more than you have in this fourth phase here, in this like second Phase 1. So it's kind of it's a little disappointing that I understand that they've done so much right, and still I think they're doing a lot right. But that foresight, I don't know. I feel like you could have had it. Like it could have. I don't think it was that hard to have.
I hear you. We don't have to go backwards here. We can keep moving forward. And just like we do on this podcast, Nick, we're going to move forward with your comic book minute.
Yes. So speaking of Marvel, a guy we have not seen yet, and the big haymaker that hopefully we get from Marvel soon. That'd be crazy if we got that at San Diego Comic-Con. The X-Men. We got issue 23 of Wolverine, of course, written by Benjamin Percy, friend of TLDR, has been on the show a few times. That is out this week. DC, we have Artemis Wanted, which is coming out of the Amazon wars they have been having going on, which I haven't been reading, but I love Artemis. Did read this. So if you haven't been reading any of this Wonder Woman stuff that's been going on, the Amazon stuff, but you like Artemis, you can still read this and enjoy it, but definitely for a little bit of a younger audience. DC versus Vampires All Out War, issue 1, just another one shot within this whole event that they've had going on. Solid, not the best one that they've done so far, but solid. The big one for me out of this week, though, was from Image Comics. There's quite a few things coming up, but Rogues Gallery, issue 1. We talk about fandom and everything like that. And this is a commentary on that. We have Public Domain from Chip Zdarsky that's doing that. And now we have Rogues Gallery that starts that. And it was the ending, a little abrupt. We'll talk about it more on TLDR this week, but I really liked it by and large. Really solid first issue. As for TLDR this week, we're going to be doing a mainline issue. We haven't done one of those in a little bit. Joe's going to be talking Superman, Son of Kal-El. And and I am going to be talking Black Mass Rising from TKO Studios.
Now, does that have to do anything with Whitey Bulger and or Johnny Depp?
It does not at all. It does not.
Okay. Did the name influence your decision to review it? Because I know you're a big Black Mass guy.
No, it was I thought it was gonna be like actually no, it was the cover. I got the review copies from TKO. Most places send we just get digitals, but they send hard copies as well.
Look at that.
Yeah. So the cover was looked pretty sweet. So it looked like we're dealing with some like vampiric kind of stuff. I didn't even read the back and everything. It's a lot of it. It's definitely vampiric stuff. So,
yeah, I don't appreciate the upside down cross right on there, but it is vampiric. I will agree on that.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. So I can't wait to talk to you guys about it, tell Joe about it too on TLDR this week. Of course, we record on Tuesdays back from Joe's vacation, but that is for another day. Today, we have a bigger thing planned.
Yes, we do. That's The Boys Season 3 Exit Survey. Better late than never, as I always say.
Sure.
The synopsis is a group of vigilantes set out to take down corrupt superheroes who abuse their superpowers. That sounds more like a synopsis for the series more than the actual season there. My bad. Don't kill me.
Either way, cast and crew. This was created for TV by Eric Kripke based on the comic from Garth Ennis. And actually, I am drawing a blank. It is, and Derek Robertson is the artist on that. Starring Carl Urban, Jack Quaid, Anthony Starr, Erin Moriarty, Dominique McGilliot, Jesse T. Usher, Laz Alonso, Chase Crawford, Tomer Capone, Karen Fukuhara.
Got that one. That was nice.
Thank you, Nathan Mitchell, Colby Minifee, Claudia Dumet, Giancarlo Esposito, Jensen Ackles, Katie Breyer, and Cameron Crovetti.
Do you need glasses too? I see you really squeeze. Should we put a bigger font on?
Well, I definitely have bad vision in my left eye. Okay. That's why I never ever tried to be a hitter because I just knew. But no, I don't know. Well, I had it the way I have it on in front of me. It was like I cut some of it off. So
I see. I got you here.
Yeah.
Well, the critics' reception was this received an 8.7 out of 10 on IMDb. Very well received, as well as a 97-86 split on Rotten Tomatoes. We're also getting, I put in a Metascore critic here because no Google reviews for this. So not that I could find that popped up easily. So 77 on Metascore on Metacritic. I don't think I said that right, but you get the idea. I think that's a pretty good grade there. I'd have to ask Mac. I feel like he's the Metacritic on the Dorkshire Gooniverse there. But
yeah, I'm pretty sure when you get to 70s, like you did a good job on Metacritic.
The 97-86 split is really good. And when the critics like something that I really like, that tells you something, I think.
Yeah, and it's kind of surprising to see the although
86 is still great.
And it's just for that season, right? It's not for the show on a whole. Yeah, it is
that one I'm sure of. Yeah.
But I mean, this thing fucking kicked ass, man. I mean, we look at our grades. You lead us off here with the grading.
Yeah, I mean, this was exactly what I want out of our comic book superhero show. It's kind of what I've been yearning for. Maybe if you follow the podcast, maybe you'll pick up that what I've been really wanting out of the MCU and feel like I haven't been getting. So this doesn't take itself serious or the genre entirely serious, but the stakes are still high and they still feel earned. You still feel them, I think. So each storyline has time to breathe while closing on that high point in a cliffhanger. So this is near perfect television for me. 96 out of 100.
I'm right there with you. I gave it a slight grade higher. I mean, 97, but I think anything in the mid to high 90s, it's like right, it's in that range. This is probably a me thing, but I think describing like story from any medium, be it comics, movies, show, as controlled chaos is like the greatest compliment that you can give. To me, Season 3 of The Boys is the definition of that phrase.
I think The Dark Knight is too. I like that. A very topical choice of phrasing here.
There we go. Yeah. So it's and the thing you talk about what you've been wanting from a comic book movie. We kind of hinted at this. I think it was our last episode, maybe the one before. But I feel like The Boys right now having this season, like the first two seasons were great. I think the first one was awesome. The second one was even better, and this one is even better. I know we were going to get to that, but I find it really like interesting the timing of something like this while Marvel's kind of in the state of flux. We talk about DC coming in and kind of taking over, and they have that window. The boys came in and just like, in the boys' fashion, like kicked the door open.
Oh yeah,
and like they are at front and center.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. Let's get some of the easy questions out of the way, Nick. One word answer here. Did you like this show?
Yes. Did you?
Was it the best season of the series thus far?
Has to be. I think it's gotten better each season. Do you agree? Oh no. One of us froze. Here.
That's me.
Oh, it was you?
Yeah, it's me. I got low bars.
Okay. All right. So, was it the best the season of the series so far? Yes, it was.
Yeah. Yes, but was it the best season you've seen in 2022 of a show?
I say yes. Yeah, gut reactions. Yes. I just finished Peaky Blinders, which was I believe the 5th season of that. That's the only one for me that's in contention. There is recency bias, but I do love that show, and I thought they did a really good job. But I still go The Boys, Peaky Blinders, then probably like Peacemaker, Moon Knight. There's a few things I haven't seen yet that I do plan to. But now, okay, same questions for you. Did you like the show?
Oh yeah, yes and yes. On the best season of the series. Yes, love the show. Okay. This is tough. I loved Barry. I love your addition of Peacemaker, though. I think I liked this more than Peacemaker.
Mm-hmm.
Barry is probably up there for me too, and I still have to see We Own This City. I think that's the Wire spinoff, and I don't watch Better Call Saul.
Oh, yeah.
I'm too behind on that. So I think for my money at the current point, I got to say yes. Recency bias and all.
Okay. Yeah, I still gotta watch season 3 of Umbrella Academy. That just came out recently. My future in-laws have what's the Paramount Plus, so I'm gonna be able to watch Halo.
Mm-hmm.
I want to give that one a look at some point. But
I've heard bad things about Halo.
I heard good things. Really?
Yeah, I've heard bad things.
Oh, from people we know, or just
just like reading reviews and stuff like that, and like just seeing like headlines and stuff.
I thought, okay, huh. I thought I saw the opposite from headlines. Okay, interesting. Anyways,
maybe we got a different algorithm.
Well, there is a chance that's the case. But anyways, favorite episode of the season. You got the grade for each episode too.
Yeah, all from IMDb here. Obviously, I think with the ending, that's what hits home the most. The Heroghasm episode 6 has a 9.7 out of 10. That obviously stands out for many lewd reasons. However, I might go with Here Comes a Candle to Light You to Bed.
Yeah.
That's the 8.9 out of 10 on IMDb. And if I remember correctly, because I was kind of binge watching this, but this is the major standoff between Billy Butcher, Huey, Soldier Boy, Jensen Ackles, right? And Homelander. Isn't that all kind of where they square off there?
Yeah. And actually Jensen's nickname is Broken. Jensen Broken Ankles.
Oh, there we go.
No, Ackles.
Yeah.
But the big fight was they had the big fight in Heroghasm. Like that was where they pinned down Homelander and they scared the shit out of him.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. So maybe it is Heroghasm. So that is the Heroghasm episode, even with that there. Maybe I was confused. So give me that episode with all of that in there. But with a close second of episode 8, closing out with, again, that final battle between Homelander and Soldier Boy there. And the big reveal, because we'll talk about this later, but Jensen Ackles, I didn't really know what he was going to do in those final few minutes there when Billy Butcher's driving him out there and everything like that. And I didn't really know how he was going to react to seeing Homelander once they knew that they were father and son.
And to me, that is why I give episode 8 the number 1 grading. As much as episode 8, episode 1, and episode 3 have the lowest grades at 8.3 for the season. To me, first of all, the battle was insane. And I understand at the end of it all, of course, we are a spoiler-filled podcast. At the end of it all, certain characters survive that you really expect wouldn't, which kind of stinks. But it seems like they're going to be out of the fray either for now or going forward, or for the short term, I should say. But what blew me away was what you're talking about. Like, we had no clue up until the very end, like, what is Soldier Boy gonna do this whole time? It's like, oh, you can go see him going this way, but like you think he's gonna do this, but the way he's acting and talking, it's like he's not gonna go that way. He's like seems to be of his word, and then it's like it's not of he's just of his word. It's like he feels the type of way, and that's why he's gonna do what he's gonna do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And it's so interesting because he's like, I wish I had the opportunity to raise you and I failed you and that sort of thing. And then he ends up just becoming his father who, he has that heart to heart with Billy Butcher about their fathers right before going into it. And he says exactly what he ends up saying to Homelander and how much it crushed him. So it's interesting, right? The sins of our father, he just ends up carrying him on. So
yeah, he was Soldier Boy was man.
Well, I think this kind of goes into our next question here, maybe just to kickflip right into that, if you will. Which storyline did you like the most? And I think I love the addition of Soldier Boy and that layered background of his backstory with Black Noir and everyone trying to kill him and how much that mirrored Homelander, and then the convergence of those two at the end. I mean, again, like near perfect television of what I want to see.
Yeah, 100%. I think Soldier Boy is the season 3 was such a success because of Soldier Boy. Kind of similar to Stormfront in the second season, where she's just this monster, and you find out all this stuff about her later on. They do the same thing with Soldier Boy. You find all this stuff later on, why everybody hates him. You see how he's just an asshole throughout all of it. And to me, like, I think Soldier Boy is my favorite character of the show so far. Like, absolutely outstanding.
He's unbelievable performance because, again, you kind of root for him, but he's the bad guy too. And you kind of feel for him. There's like sympathy left because he's getting tested on and he's like kind of planted into this new world, doesn't know what's going on. So like you kind of feel for him, but at the same time, he's like, this guy's such a piece of shit.
He really is.
And
he still has slick back hair.
Yeah, right. Exactly. But in that same topic, like I thought Mother's Milk was great. I thought he had a breakout performance here in his storyline. With again the beta cuck white stepfather and dealing with that and kind of again not wanting his daughter to see the violent side of him, but again having that kind of boil over and holding in all the stuff about his family, and having that kind of play out with the compound V and the morals that he has and still kind of coming through on top. I think he to a lesser extent is like the moral through line, the moral compass of this show. I think. It's really Starlight. She's like the one who's like infallible, does nothing wrong, right? Only real good person there. But I think those two are probably like have the highest morals on the show.
Yeah, I think when you look at like characters like power rankings for the season, who had the best season, who had the most interesting season, not who's like the best person because you're spot on in your analysis. But I think you look at Soldier Boy, and I know he's just one and done, or at least. He might be one and done. Obviously, he can still come back. I think Soldier Boy. I think you have Butcher, MM, and Homelander. Like those four are at the top of the list for varying reasons, but all like every time they were on screen was must see stuff.
But it's interesting because like they're like Soldier Boy, Homelander, and Butcher are all great and awful for different reasons, and you kind of like hate. Like I hated. Homelander, but I loved every second that he was on screen.
100%.
Same thing with Soldier Boy, but for some reason with Butcher, like I didn't love him I just kind of hated him. It's great. I like the character and stuff, but like his actions and the things that he did, maybe because he is the good guy, that you don't want him to be the asshole. So maybe that has something to do with it, but I'm like, come on, dude. Like, come on, have a little bit of a heart.
Oh my God, with the Huey stuff, dude. I mean, thank God he ended up doing it, but
exactly.
See, that is the thing about
like the Ryan thing too, when he like rips off the, that was tough like, early on in the season.
Well, yeah, now he's kind of created a monster. I mean, I think like when I know that's something we're gonna talk about, like the stakes, right? They could have had certain things happen, and it would have made certain things in the season feel more impactful. But what they do such a good job, though, still is like they still get rid of characters and get rid of like people that you would just think they won't get rid of in the course of the show. And like where Marvel and DC, you can say like, oh, there's the stakes, they're not really there and whatever. In the boys, it's like, no, they kind of are there, and like some people don't know.
But I would say Maeve and Soldier Boy would be two like big arguments against that. And that's maybe where was held it back from a 99, 100 for me. Again, I expect those stakes to kind of be a little bit higher, and them not to hold any punches and be afraid of killing off main characters. And while I agree with you to a certain extent, I thought those were two opportunities where they could do it. And I don't know the big picture. Maybe there's something else greater planned, but two opportunities that felt like within the season that they could have done.
No, I agree with you 100%. But still, the thing is still by and large, like you feel like there is that bit of angst. Like with Soldier Boy, we didn't know what was going to happen. We also thought with Butcher that I keep just wanting to say Carl Urban. Like with Butcher, we every time like we're always thinking like, oh, he's going to do this. Now he's going to fuck you over this way. You don't trust him at all. And like when we talk about anti-heroes, like obviously you have Wolverine and you have Deadpool, and those are like two guys you think of right away. Venom's another one who you largely think of too. But like Butcher really, like especially Carl Urban's Butcher. Like don't get me wrong, in the comics, Butcher's an asshole too, and he pushes limits. But as much as he's more of a dick there, here he's like a straight up asshole. And I understand that may to most people not mean like shit. Like there's no difference. This guy just like he is so close to being a villain in this show, and just so close to hurting so many people. Whereas in the comics, he's kind of more calculated, a little bit smarter, still a jerk, very much so. But that's kind of more where he is with things. Now, he doesn't hurt the people close to him in the comics as much, I would say.
Okay, so it's a little bit that's funny because he's a caricature from the comics. There usually you feel like they're might be a little bit toned down, on the screen there. Did not care for Huey, the Huey storyline, the Starlight storyline, the I want to be the one to save you. Although I thought that was a good subversion of expectations at the final episode where he's looking over on the control panel and seeing that Jensen or Soldier Boy is powering up in front of Annie, who's like really about to get KO'd. Yeah, and you think he's going to take the Compound V and risk his life at the end and then go and save her and have that opportunity and feel like, great, this is what we talked about here. But instead he helps her, right? And it's kind of like what he learns and what he talks about in that car ride with Annie or Starlight going into that final fight. So I thought that was interesting, but the overall storyline, I just didn't care about that too much.
It's funny. We have a certain part where we talk about things that we didn't like necessarily. A few things that we talk about we don't like, and Huey's on that list for me. Like he's fine in the mix of things, but I think going forward I can do with seeing like less of him. Like it was an okay amount that we had of him in this season, just because everybody else is like their slugging percentage was great, but Huey, and then there was another character where I'm just like, Huey's annoying. There's another character that just kind of sucks, and but we'll get to that. One thing I do want to say on the stakes part though, Maeve not dying is the weird one. Jensen Ackles, Soldier Boy not dying, I feel like kind of makes more sense because as much as that bomb went off, it's like his power is now kind of taking away other people's powers. He's still super strong. He can still kind of withstand stuff, but still, regardless, stakes. Maeve surviving that is kind of odd.
And we're just getting Soldier Boy. I think we've had Maeve's storyline. Like what else does she have to tell from her story?
Yeah,
it felt like a right time. Yeah. We talked about a lot about Soldier Boy. Any other pieces there that you wanted to add before moving forward?
He's a piece of shit, but he's also my favorite character on the show. And there was a staunch difference with him and Homelander for me too, where it's just like because Homelander's so uptight and so insecure, and like no one
you respect Soldier Boy a little bit more. I think.
It's just like he's a guy. Well, I could see myself like hanging out with Soldier Boy, but then also being like, oh shit, like he's kind of nuts. But like you can fall into that a little bit more easily. Yeah. He's not as likely to snap as his son is.
What I loved, and again, this kind of goes into our next question here, but and in that heart to heart with Butcher before they go into the battle, and they're trading whiskey shots and everything, and he's saying about his origin story and how he was just a kid from Brooklyn, very much like Steve Rogers and all that stuff, but he ended up being like a rich kid who was kind of a screw up, right, and was trying to prove something to his dad, and everything was staged and fabricated, and it had an outward presentation. Everything was made up for him. And I thought that was a great little twist there, because I think again, to get into this next question, what do you think of the political connections?
Yep.
And then even as an offshoot, the Representative Cassandra Schwartz storyline.
You mean Victoria Newman?
That's what I mean. Yeah.
Okay, because I saw that note and I was like, Cassandra Schwartz is the Deep's, I think
That's
now
right.
ex-wife.
Yeah.
But yeah, Newman is, man, she knows what she's doing, man, and she's playing with fire. But I love it. Like that's got to be the Well, I know that's one thing we were going to talk about. Like, what are they going to do going forward with this series? That's got to be the main focus next season. You would think.
I have to imagine with the way that Homelander was like to the Deep, go kill the vice president, and he's like, that's treason, blah blah blah. He does it, it's setting everything up. I think I put this in our group chat too. Like, what it feels like it's going to be like a political kind of theme, political thriller type of theme where Newman and whoever the president is running, or maybe she's running for president now. And then Homelander kind of comes up in this groundswell populist, quote unquote, movement and to run in opposition. So they're, no matter what, it's a no lose, two heads of the same snake type of thing as they try to take over the world. And then there's going to be intertwinings going in, obviously. But
dude, the evolution.
I think that would be interesting.
I agree with you 100%. That would be great. Like I think and I have no doubt if they don't do that though, like the way The Boys is gone, they're gonna knock it out. It's these first 3 seasons have been money. Yeah, absolutely. And one of the big reasons is the evolution of Homelander, man. My God. Look, like Anthony Starr is remarkable. Like, and by the way, it is Anthony Starr. You were correct.
It is okay. In front of me.
Yes. So I've been saying it wrong the whole time, but I am blown away that we haven't seen this guy in a bunch more stuff before. Maybe it's just me, but I don't know.
Yeah,
I know there's a rumor now.
Either.
There's a rumor of him being the Dracula of the MCU. But like I'm looking at stuff here. He was in like.
Which would look great, by the way. I think that would be a great choice because he plays the sociopath so well, obviously, here.
He was in Without a Paddle.
So was he? Yeah.
Apparently, yeah. Okay. I don't know what his role was, but it's a fun little factoid. But yeah, awesome stuff. Like we need to see this guy in more shit. He's so good. But I will say, every time I look at him, I'm like, are we sure that's not Zach Morris right there?
It does kind of have some Mark Paul Gosselaar, vibes there. Yeah,
he looks more like Zach Morris, like grown up than Mark Paul Gosselaar actually looks like him.
Yeah, exactly. Weird. Yeah, and maybe in some bizarro world, Zach Morris, son of affluence, finds his way into a Vought lab, and then bam, there you go.
Maybe that's what this is. Oh, that'd be so fun.
Just connective tissue. It's what I'm all about here.
I'd love that if it's.
I think maybe to your earlier point about the 91, whatever the audience critic split was, right, with the 86 audience score there. Maybe some points could be how meta this was and how on the nose it was. There's real life politicians and actors and movies that are named in there, so you think it's kind of the real universe. Instead of CNN, it's NNC News. It's not really leaving. Obviously, the Victoria Newman is meant to parody AOC. I think you can see a lot of comparisons there. Of course, with Homelander and Trump and and even the others, other side there, I think both sides were pretty well parodied. I didn't have a problem with that, but I can see maybe people thinking like, I don't want this in a show one way or the other. I'm trying to escape.
That's fair, and I like. So I'm curious. So for you were fine with it, like, because obviously you gave the show a fucking 96. Of course, you're fine with it, right?
Yeah, and again, I felt like it was balanced. So there's like so many things, if you're gonna like what South Park does so well, and I think why like it's lasted as long as it's had, or any other kind of satirical show, is that they can poke fun at both sides and themselves, and then so it doesn't feel like it's just all again unbalanced or anything, but. The inner workings of like the political machine too. I kind of loved all those euphemisms about how we got to control the news cycle here, and that's like their response to everything. Well, we'll get out in front of it. We'll say so and so is a liar, and we'll do X, Y, and Z. And like how they handle damage control, I think was very interesting. Again, having no idea of what goes on behind the scenes of White House or whatever politicians, but I would imagine that it kind of does mirror that to some degree.
Yeah, I mean, all we're used to dealing with when it comes to like news dumpy kind of things is like the Red Sox announcing something on like a Sunday night, or most recently like the Blue Jays
Oh
firing
yeah,
their
yeah, yeah.
manager at the start of NHL free agency. Like only in Canada is that going to mean anything.
Right.
But yeah, like so when it comes to this, like Garth Ennis parody, like he goes after anything. I mean, he did a whole thing on Batman a little while back where he was totally making fun of the character the whole time. And I know politics versus Batman, huge difference. But you look at this show, but even before we got into the political stuff, like he was taking shots at all the superhero culture and everything. He's taking shots at not just the heroes, but also the people and the people who worship them. And
Right.
he does, and they're doing that here. It's like, so when I think it's a very valid point that you're making, but I think to anybody who feels that way, it's like, well, look at what this show has been this entire time.
It's what it is. Yeah, it's not really straying from that. Yeah,
exactly.
I
And that we talk about leaning into things. That is this is leaning into it. So, so that like, but anyways, now that
yeah, I mean, you mentioned leaning in. I think Homelander kind of leaning into his psychosis, his sociopathness, like into the show, and realizing that like he doesn't have to be this perfect Superman type of character. He gets like, as he kind of slowly unravels in the public a little more, people embrace him more and more. Again, life imitating art. I'm not sure, or art imitating life. One of those things. But the evolution of the character throughout this season specifically, or the unraveling of the character throughout this season specifically, was great.
Yeah, it's funny. Like I call it the evolution, and I was thinking about A-Train too, and I call that de-evolution. But it's like they're both kind of devolving in their own ways. But but it's A-Train's just like, oh, he sucks. But we'll get to him in a little bit. What do we got now? What will age best from this series?
We're staying on Anthony Starr's here because again, his ability to play the sociopath, not even just like in delivering lines and kind of acting angry, but his facial expressions, the way that he can like look down but up at you and like see whites of his eyes, like and like the arches in his eyebrows, like those are signs of like sociopathic physiognomy. I don't know. I'm going to screw up the word.
I know what you're talking about though.
But yeah. Physiological manifestations of a sociopath. How is that?
Wow. It's so much harder to
I don't know. I just feel like I put like a lot of syllable words together, and it's
always try and say the harder stuff, Wes. You do a better job when you challenge yourself. But yeah, I agree. And I will say too, when we talk about this actor too, and seeing him in more stuff, people are always going to see him as Homelander. Like you hear that name, you're always going to think of Homelander first. I mean, he's just done that well in this role. At the same time, like you look at this, if you look up this guy right now, you see him as a like he's naturally got dark hair. So he should be able to pivot away from this and still be fine with his acting career. Where you like, whereas like I know these are tiny things we're kind of talking about here, but it can. But
you get pegged into the character. I mean, it's Chris Hemsworth, right? He's Thor.
I was thinking Chris Evans even more so.
Still, yeah.
And he's not a blonde; he's more like a brunette or whatever. But it's like he's still every time you see him, it's like up. But with Anthony Starr, he also likes to grow a beard. All these different things. I think he'll be able to pivot out of this more easily than those guys will.
Absolutely. There. We mentioned the meta commentary again. I think that's something that ages well. The both sides thing I think is really well done. The return of the Deep. I thought as a comedic relief was really really nice addition again. And the whole idea of like the threesome with the octopus and then having to eat the octopus and that whole storyline is like very very funny to me.
I've been trying to get my dad to watch this show, but I say to him like every time, Dad, if you watch this, don't watch it with Mom. Like don't watch it with Mom. Like she's not gonna like Lauren watches with me, loves it, but like it's like you can't it's just like
of a certain age, right?
Yeah, like it's different generation and all that stuff, right? But it's oh my god, this shit is so fucking graphic. Oh my god, the octopus stuff. Even for me, I'm like, I don't want to see that stuff, man. Oh my god. So when he ate it,
I know,
and I love fried calamari. Like, and even when it's like still like not, it's still like an actual.
Yeah, you don't like you like the actual squids too, not just the rings.
Yeah, it was at first it was weird, but I don't care. But this man was like,
and the little ink that squirts out at the end. Yeah,
so many, and just also because he's like hearing it, like it's so weird. But it makes sense for the boy.
It's his lover.
This is what you get. Yeah. It's oh my god. Yeah. He's praying mantis. Like, anyways.
Yeah. Yeah,
The other one
seriously.
that I did want to add in all this too, kind of outside of the show, more of a macro look at this, studios and how they invest in independent and creator-owned comics. We've anytime we get some of that stuff on whether it's on Netflix or on Prime or whatever, we do talk about. Obviously, we did the Old Guard in 2020. And we have Invincible that we've talked about on this show, but now like Prime gets it. They have Invincible, they have this. I gotta think that they're gonna try and go for Saga, and that should be an animated show too, just because of the way the given the world that they're in and what Invincible did. But man, like I really hope that this only further helps studios take that risk with independent comic book series, because it's just this is so like this series is so awesome. Invincible is so awesome. Old
Right. That's a
Guard
good
was
point. I forgot about Invincible.
yeah, and Old Guard was, I would say, we'd probably call that like a double, or maybe like you thrown out on a triple on a stretch, something to that, and not a home run, but enjoyed it, rewatchable. So I'd love to see that, and then especially where it's like comic books still have a ton of good stories. The better stories, if you listen to TLDR, the better stories are in the indie comics right now, not in Marvel and DC by and large. So that's where you guys should be picking stuff out of, and this is a great time to do it now.
Okay, I like it here. What do you think will age the worst here? As we mentioned, the killing off of the characters and all that stuff, but
I think that's got to be number one here, Wes. But just since we've already kind of talked about that a ton, I mean, A-Train has aged pretty poorly. I mean, he's just.
I think he's run his course, so to speak.
I don't like every time he was on screen. I'm like, oh, God, this guy's like he's an asshole, and like I just don't care about him. Like he's not sucking up the screen. Like when he did what he did to was it Blue Hawk? Is that right?
Blue Hawk, yeah, who I thought was also hilarious. Real piece of shit, but the way that he played, like I'm just thinking of like his the way that he just gave his like unemotional apology to the Newark streets of the people in the streets there.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, whatever. And he's reading from a sign and like, yeah, Black Lives Matter. All lives matter. And like, then he just ends up losing it. And it's like, it's very funny how he played. I think he played that piece of shit perfectly.
I don't think he could have done better with that role. Actually, when we talk about side characters too, he's probably someone who deserves to be on that list. We'll get to that. But like we have all these people who are pieces of shit. It's like, but I want more of them. A-Train's a piece of shit. And it's like, I don't know, man. Like I'm curious, are they going to have like a big redemption for this character? Because it would make sense because of what would happen with Huey and like how it kind of those two kind of sparked so much that their interaction at the beginning of things. Speaking of Huey, after you were talking about him before, I think Huey's aging worse than even A-Train might be. It's close.
Again, you're talking about two, like one with the storyline, A-Train kind of running its course, but Huey doesn't have a whole lot to offer. I think when you're dealing with superheroes and badassery, like he doesn't really bring a whole lot. He's not that smart, like he's not like a machines guy or anything. Like I'm not sure what he brings to the team other than a little bitchiness every now and again.
I mean, he's supposed to be like this moral compass, and it's like, yeah, first of all, who likes the character that's supposed to be the moral compass? Even then, actually, what am I saying? MM is like the most badass moral compass that we've ever had before. That's actually Actually, I never thought about that till right now when I said it. Like, I always don't care for moral compass characters. They're always just suck the fun out of everything. Like, let people go on. MM's like, he plays that role better than maybe anybody ever has.
Yeah, maybe ever. Give the men the Oscar. That's what we're saying here.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. But I think still in the end, like, basically not killing off Maeve at the end of it all. And A-Train, you could argue that too.
Yeah, because again, like with the giving him the new heart thing, although like, the one thing I'll say for A-Train is his brother. I love the interactions with his brother and how his brother kind of put him in his place every time.
Yep.
Because like 100%. The thing with A-Train is that he's like rudderless. Like he doesn't really know where he's going. He doesn't really have a spine. He just takes whatever endorsements given to him. When he does try to stand up for something, he's always getting shot down. Mm-hmm. He's like selling menthol flavored vapes and all that stuff with his name on it. So he's like, he thinks he's doing well for the community, but he's poisoning that very same community he claims to be helping, like all that type of stuff. So it's like all for the dollar. And everything he says it's for his family, but it's not.
No, it's not. You're absolutely right though. His brother does do a good job. Like his brother's a good character. He whenever they're on screen together, he makes those scenes a little bit more impactful. Like they still kind of suck because A-Train sucks, but
he just doesn't get it. Like he just doesn't get it at all. Yeah.
Yeah. I just wonder, but like it seems like as we're talking about this, it seems like they are trying to set him up for something a little bit greater. Like he has potential to have the greatest redemption of anybody on this show now.
I would hope so. Or if they're going to do them like that, if they're going to use them like that. I mean,
100%.
What's the most rewatchable scene from this show?
So
Season.
Think we have a few options here. I mean, the fights are crazy. They are so well done. So I love those, but I think, so the final battle for me is my personal favorite. I know you liked the Heroghasm battle, which was great.
Yeah.
But I think the Black Noir's cartoon hallucinations were fucking crackers, man. And I think like things I want to go back and watch on the show. It's like, especially when you see the fight between him and Soldier Boy in like the cartoon form.
Yeah.
It's fucking nuts. I mean, it's so weird. And like this is a badass character who we're finally learning more about. And then it's like, I'm sorry, what? What's your deal? What is that? Okay. All right. Cool.
Yes, certainly the mention, the Huey, Butcher, Soldier Boy versus Homelander fight in the Heroghasm. The Heroghasm event in and of itself, that whole scene in there, I don't think it was fully lived up to the expectations or the disclaimer that was on the episode there. But I thought that was kind of interesting to see that all go down.
I think it was good. I think Twitter is what was more. I don't know. Like I don't know. If
I watched it after all the hype of it too, so I agree.
Yes.
Yeah.
So because from my experience, like it's like like I know it's good. I know it's a thing in the comic and everything. I've only gotten to like the first 20 issues. I read the first 12. Kind of went away from it for a little bit, but I'm back reading through it again. But yeah, like so I don't have that like reading it beforehand thing. But everybody on Twitter is like, oh my god, this, that, and whatever.
Well, no, I think, you get the cool, the funny Ant-Man parody early on in the season there with the guy exploding in his dick, trying to tickle the inside of his dick hole.
It was
really funny.
Insane. And it was really funny, but I really could have done without seeing from Ant-Man seeing the actual penis. Like the inside of the, running through the inside actually didn't bother me quite as much. It's weird. Like thinking about like that is kind of
makes you squirm.
Yes, 100%. But like seeing the dick like that tiny, it's just like I could go without that. That's just me. Like, hey, but you know what? That's the show. That's like that track.
So it's what it is. Yeah, I mean, I think staying in the gutter here, I would say, was it the Crimson Countess doing like the live cam girl shows, and then what ends up being Seth Rogen, which I thought was kind of funny.
That's right. Yeah. Is he a producer?
He finishes. He might be. I think he might be a producer. I think you're right about that.
Which he was, I bring up indie stuff. The Preacher is in from the DC umbrella, but Vertigo was essentially indie comics. And I think Seth Rogen was also a producer on that one as well, The Preacher Show, which was another success. And that's another Garth Ennis comic too. But yeah, but anyways, that was actually, and that kind of brings us to, unless you had another thing that was rewatchable, that kind of
no. I think throughout the course of the conversation we've covered a lot of it. So
we did, but the side characters. Now we did talk about Blue Hawk, and I think he does deserve to be at towards the top of this conversation. But for me, I think all of Payback was interesting. The TNT twins were of the bunch that we saw, I think we're probably at the bottom.
But, they were weird. Especially they were creepy, right? When they're although it was funny when they get the camera of the and you just see the dong hanging down from the bottom. Like that was kind of a funny angle.
That was kind of fucking nasty. But in Mindstorm, his powers really messed up. Gunpowder was pretty funny too, and then Crimson Countess too was another one who was like, and that's actually that is Andrea from The Walking Dead too. I don't have her name written down. You never watched The Walking Dead, right?
No.
Okay, but for those, I'm sure we have listeners who watch that show in some capacity. She was from the early seasons. Great actress. But she was a real piece of work in the show too.
So is the Deep side character in this season? Do we think that?
I don't know.
He's part of the original 7, and then he kind of comes back into the fold.
It's getting harder. Well, you get these ensemble characters.
I know it is tough. Yeah.
I would. I think I would.
Honorable mention for him. My real MVP though is Ashley Barrett, the Vought CEO. I thought she was amazing throughout this whole season. Or whoever the actress is, I don't have the name in front of me, but I thought she did an amazing job, kind of trying to play that fake strength, fake girl power, but really just like scared of Homelander the entire time. You see how stressed out that she is, and she doesn't really want to be doing this. And you see like Annie kind of break through to her for a quick, or maybe it was Maeve who breaks through to her for a quick second, and then she kind of pulls it all right back in. And I think like the most kind of harrowing scene is when Homelander forces her to take the wig off. At the end, I think in the last episode, and she's like lost all of her hair from stress and everything, and it's like amazing. And then you see her kind of have a little bit of the heart there, deleting the footage of Maeve kind of getting out out of the city at the end there. But a great performance from her.
As you started talking about her, I'm like, you talk about like girl power, and I'm like, oh, dude, the hair thing was so. Oh, that was so vicious that they did that.
It's tough, but again, she's playing it really well, and kind of like it looks like she's keeping everything kind of suppressed early on, and she's like really embracing that role.
Mm-hmm.
And then you see like she's really just like a puppet,
Colby Minifie.
Yes,
that is
Colby Minifie,
the actress who gets the best performance by a side character for season 3.
There.
What?
For me, at least.
No, I'm with you on that one. I think that I think that she files under side character. She's been a reoccurring side character throughout the entire show. I think like all of Payback, like they're such tiny side characters. Like I think you get one episode from each of them, so it's like the team's cool, but like in reality, you only get so much of them. So it's kind of hard to give any one of them a award. And then Blue Hawk, I would say, is.
He comes up there a little bit. Cassandra Schwartz, I know I misnamed her earlier, but I think she kind of comes up there.
Yeah,
with the Deep and kind of plays that, and then has the tell-all book at the end of it there. That was just like shoving his face with chocolate. That was kind of funny.
She was really annoying though. Like look, the Deep's not where he is without her, but she was so annoying. She's like mouthing everything out. I'm like, just stop. Just like kind of trust him a little bit. I know he's a moron. Like he is.
Yeah.
Complete fucking idiot. But like just stop, because it's just gonna lead to like a blow up, and it did happen, and whatever.
What are you gonna do? We got two final. Oh no,
we do. Before we get to who lost the movie and who won the movie, every time the Deep gets brought up, I'm always reminded how the Deep is now the guy who gets who harassed or assaulted Starlight, right? But I think I said this in season 2 because we didn't do a season 1 review. But Starlight ended up getting sexually harassed by 3 members of the 7. Yes, she had to do it to 3 dudes, Jesus. and I believe it was the Deep, Homelander. I don't think it was Black Noir. I believe it was Deep, Homelander, and I know A-Train was the other one because I'm reading it now, where she's calling him Needle Dick, which is not going over well with him. So that does bring me back though to those things I wanted to mention before at the top of the show, where we talked about Temp V and Love Sausage. Now, we all know how Butcher, right, in this show, he hates soups and everything, but we see him team up with Maeve. In the comics, there is some level of team up with soups, and him and Love Sausage are actually buddies. Like they go to Russia fairly early in the comics. It's in the first 2 arcs, and they are hosted by Love Sausage there, who does have the big ass dick and everything.
Sure does.
But so that's a character,
Mr. Fantastic.
Yeah, that is and it's actually that is like the only reason anybody would want the Mr. Fantastic powers, really.
Yeah.
But so that was one thing. That character gets introduced much sooner in the show. Also, the Temp V. Where this is like a new thing with these characters. Well, in the comics, they use V in right from the jump. Like Huey kills a dude from Teenage Kicks right from the jump because they're using V, and he
to combat it. Yeah,
and he punched So you know how he punched a hole through that one guy in Russia in this season. He kills a hero who was actually nicknamed Blarney Cock, if I'm not mistaken.
Nice.
From Teenage Kicks, and he kills him like by punching him and accidentally punching too hard and punching a hole in his chest, like he did in this season. So that was a little nod to definitely the comics, but Temp V, it wasn't Temp V, but it was a thing sooner in the comics than it has been.
Did it have like the same deadly effects and stuff? Or?
No. They're fine.
It's easy then, yeah.
Yeah. So, but that's where you kind of got to make some of these adjustments. That is what's so crazy about The Boys. Like they have changed so many things, move some stuff up, move things back, change things around. But they've done so well with it. And that is not, and they've done it more, I feel like, than we've seen like a Marvel and a DC, or like Marvel will have like this like wide area where you can kind of make some changes and insert stuff. The Boys, it's like it's an indie comic. Like it's this one thing and that's it, start finish and that's it. It's not this thing that's gone on forever. You don't have as much wiggle room to make changes, and they have, and they've done so well at it. It's crazy.
Another reason why they just continue to win here, but before the winners, Nick, who lost the movie?
Well done, sir. Well, I think you actually listed them all off before I jotted down any, but I think Giancarlo Esposito's character, Stan Edgar, probably gets the biggest L here.
Loses the business? Does he come back in season 4?
He's not dead, so he's got to come back in some way.
Mm-hmm.
So I
gotta think he comes back, and maybe he kind of comes in and divides the wedge between President Homelander and President Newman. Between those two there during their political campaigns, if that's the route they go.
That would be a good idea, because clearly Newman does not, like, she doesn't want to work with Homelander. She's doing it to protect herself and her family.
Right. Interesting. We'll see here. Definitely not the deep, though. Definitely not the deep.
I may need to get Billy on this at some point, as if I don't have him doing enough stuff. But we got to set odds for who's going to be the character that kills Homelander. Like, we got to set a line for that, because
I like that. That is good.
I think Victoria Newman's got to be the odds-on favorite, but Butcher's probably right there too. But also Temp V is kind of a problem. I don't know. There's a lot of options here.
Could it be Ryan?
Could it be Ryan?
Did he lose the movie?
I got to give it to Edgar. Ryan is very close to turning into a piece of shit. And it's not his fault. Oh
yeah, I mean, he saw that, like how people reacted to Homelander blowing up that guy, lasering him to death there at the very end. He's like, oh, people like this. Okay,
nuts.
He reminds me of the Brightburn kid. I had to look up who played Brightburn, who that kid, because I thought it was the same one. It wasn't, but I got real Brightburn vibes from that kid.
Yeah, they've
shooter vibes.
Yeah, and I gotta say, like the actor who plays Ryan, I don't think we have it jotted down anywhere, but we
Cameron
Cavetti. Oh, yeah, you did have it written down. Where we talk about characters, like young actors, like screwing stuff up a lot. I think this kid's done a really, really good job in this role.
Oh yeah, and the last one here, MM's daughter's stepfather. What a punchable face! Like, if that was,
yeah.
Yeah, what a punchable face there. And then just how blindly he's like, no, this superhero is good. You're wrong.
Yeah, he sucks, dude.
It's all over the internet. Starlight's the liar. Again, that meta commentary there is great. But I don't know if it's whether it should be him or his ex-wife for choosing that dude as stepfather. So I don't know where you see that, unless the guy's like got something in his pants or something in the bank. I don't know. I'm not seeing it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how you go from MM to that. Like, I understand, like, wanting safety or something, or stability.
The exact opposite, right?
But
so talk about that.
Well, yeah, in the end, he's really not that. But my vote, that guy's a loser. But I think Edgar ended up losing the most. In this
he did lose the most there, but that guy is a loser. So
yes, he's the biggest.
It's a matter of semantics.
Yeah, Edgar lost the most, but that guy's the biggest loser.
Absolutely. But who won the movie?
I mean,
this is tough because we have 3 here that I think can all make a good argument.
We got Anthony Starr as Homelander. We got Laz Alonso as MM. We have Jensen Ackles as Soldier Boy. So I think MM's stock rose the most of anybody that had been on the previous season. Definitely MM the most. But
I agree.
I think I got to give it to Jensen Ackles, man. This is a guy who's been trying to do as much superhero stuff as he can. We don't see him in a lot of stuff, but he does voiceover stuff. He's done Batman voiceover. He's under the Red Hood. He is Red Hood. Obviously, we have he's Dean Winchester from Supernatural, which isn't comic books, but it is kind of. And now he gets this chance to be an asshole Captain America, and he fucking knocks it out of the park. Amazing.
I don't have an issue if you choose any one of these. I tend, especially as our leaders become more increasingly enhanced, at least, or heroes, I should say, become increasingly enhanced just in movies that we talk about, right? Even the leaders, I think, and we don't really see regular human guys doing cool shit, right? So I think that's where Mother's Milk comes in. He doesn't take any of the drugs, but he's still able to do all the things just about, that everyone else does. I think that's why Top Gun Maverick worked too, because I think that was like just humans, extraordinary humans doing extraordinary shit, not superheroes doing super shit. But so that's my argument for Mother's Milk there. But Anthony Starr, I mean, we talk about the stocks rising. I mean, he probably came in with the highest stock, but I mean, he was all abuzz. And I think if you were to kind of stick your finger out in the air to see which way the wind's blowing, it's blowing all towards Homelander and Anthony Starr right now. I mean, especially given the Blade rumors, right? With like you were saying, with playing Dracula. Excuse me.
You know what? Honestly, he shouldn't do that. Like he'll kill it, but he's too good for that, man. Like,
but they got Mahershala Ali. You think they're going to bring in Jon Snow? Like that should be a good cast.
Okay, for that, okay, for if it was just like, hey, it's one movie and that's it and that's cool. And I'm not saying like Dracula's gun is like a part of Marvel, but it's just like, no, people could give a shit about him. Sure, like we've seen characters who don't mean a lot in the comics do well in the MCU, but I don't know, man. I just look at it as like, make him a character who like has a lot more potential. I don't know.
I agree with what you're saying because I think I know what you're saying. I've kind of felt similarly. Not that I care about the Ted Lasso guy who played Hercules, but it's what we were talking about last week of having these like historical fictional characters that have been tried out throughout history come back into the MCU as a reintroduction. Like I don't think we need that, right?
Yeah. Well, like if you're like they're part, like for me, Hercules is more so a part of than Dracula. But like, yeah, I do agree with you. Like it's just like if you're gonna do it, that's one thing. But I personally look at it as don't have it be this prominent actor who has a ton of potential to be whatever the fuck you want. Like if this was a Dracula movie, like yeah, sure, go ahead, Anthony Starr, by all means, you'll probably kill it. But in Marvel and MCU, it's like, I don't know, make him Doom. Like, I get he's already Homelander, so maybe that's too kind of close, but make him something cool. Make him something awesome. Don't do that. Like,
yeah, I could like that. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Doom could work. Like, that's just, me having, a few whiskeys already, but
maybe Jensen Ackles as Doom.
Jensen Ackles needs to be in more superhero shit. While he's still like he's no spring chicken anymore. Obviously, he's still got his fastball, but he's getting up there in age. How old is he? He is 44.
A little younger. Okay, he can play late 30s, mid 30s.
Sure, no doubt. But like, let's get him in some MCU stuff. Let's get him in some DC stuff. Let's see some more. Like, he wants to do this shit, so let's fucking utilize him, please.
I'm right there with any last words on the boys. I think we've said a lot of it. I think a lot of glowing things about this here.
I think maybe some could argue we've been too nice. I'm going to invert my score. 79 out of 100. We've been
done. Okay.
This whole season. So
subverting expectations is what we do here. Now, if you haven't already got your tickets and your boarding passes, please do now because the Discharge Depot is leaving the station. All aboard! There we go here.
You start us off, please, this week.
Big golfing week. Big golfing week for the kid. I haven't played all year, really, but I went out on Tuesday with Mac and Doc.
Yeah,
very nice. They were down Cape Side here for the couple of days. At least Doc was. So Mac made the trip down. We played 18. We shot 18. Then went out to Captain Parker's. Nice little lovely, lovely local establishment right on the Bass River.
There aren't many times in my life that I will say this, but I really wish I had been able to be there for golf. Joe did ask me to go. But I've taken off a lot of time this summer because of my brother's wedding stuff.
Of course.
So it's been a little bit, but like he asked me to go, and I was like, and also now that I'm working days more, it's like this is the one time I wish I was working nights again. But I'm glad you guys had fun, and I know you went out another time with Joe. And I'll tell you what, I don't know. I think it was the second one where he sent a video to the group. Hair. I sent it to you I think it was last week on the show, but the hair is looking great, Wes.
Oh, yeah, it's flowing right now. It's a little sweaty and everything. I'm actually going to wash it for the first time in a month. That's kind of been the secret to success is you don't wash it.
Then
You
why are
just
you gonna
wet
wash
it.
it?
Because you don't need to. You don't need to wash it. I want that nice greasy look.
No, I'm saying that why are you going to wash it?
Oh, because you got to do it at some point,
Okay.
some point or another. I went like 5 weeks previously, and then like about 5 weeks now. I think for 5 weeks, give it a wash.
Okay.
Because I do put product in it. It's mostly a coconut oil base, all organic.
Oh, fancy.
But still, like you want to get that stuff out of there.
Mm-hmm. Sure, of course. I don't know. Shit.
But I did complete. I said this off the top. Completed my Cape League hat collection too. So went out to Chatham and Orleans. So not only did I golf in Yarmouth twice this week with Doc, I also went out to Chatham and Orleans 3 times in the heat of the summer season on the Cape. There, went over the bridge, fought against traffic.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Dedication, Holmes.
That's amazing. Well, I'm happy for you. Because it's funny. It's funny how we talked about how you haven't been golfing all the time, and now you've been crazy busy with it.
Yeah, it's
I'm
good.
glad you had you had a good week.
What'd you do?
Well, I finished Peaky Blinders, and I mentioned that earlier in the show when we were talking about the best things that we've had come out in TV this year. Outstanding season. This show is one of the few that's been like there hasn't been a lull season at any point in this. It is a slower moving show, but it's just all of it is just like everything is important. Everything carries weight. You see a lot of important characters kind of get taken out in the course of things. And you definitely see that in this season. Tommy and Arthur Shelby are like the only two who just always somehow walk away from it all. And my God, those two might be my like if I don't know if it'd be top 50, but those two are up there for like some of my favorite fictional characters of all time for different reasons. And what they do with Tommy, like he's been going through this crazy arc, but then they have this, like lead him down this one path late in the season. And then there's a twist with it. And it's just like, and now it's like, oh my God, we got the piece of shit back. And it's going to get fucking crazy. So if you're fine with this era, this is like post World War I. It definitely delves into those politics, but it's kind of a slower moving thing set in Birmingham in different parts of England. I love this show. So if any of that's your vibe, then I would give it a look if you haven't already. That's the
Watch with closed captions too, right?
Oh, yes.
I would have to.
No, you have to. Like when I first watched it, I didn't, and I was like, okay, like I'm able to make it work, and like I get what's going on, but I'm missing some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Then I just popped them on, and that changed my life because now I watch stuff with that all the time with subtitles. But that's the positive, Wes. So I for those who don't know, I am going to be moving soon. I don't know if I've hinted at it on the show. Of course,
no, I didn't know until you mentioned it to me.
You knew I was moving.
I knew you were going to move. I didn't know when or where.
So it's going to be happening soon. I'm going to be changing states. I'm going to move into New Hampshire because I work remotely now, so it doesn't make a difference where I am. So Lauren and she also works remote, so it doesn't make a difference. So we're kind of venturing out a little bit, trying something different, but still not going to be far from Boston and whatnot. But in the course of it, I've been trying to do some research on insurance because while I do kind of have a full-time job, I'm still technically an independent contractor, got to do my own thing from insurance. And I was doing some research and I filled out some information on a site that was like, okay, it's showing up at the top of Google. It seems like it's okay. Do a little bit of research, clearly not enough. They warn you like, okay, by filling this out, you can be contacted by insurance companies through email, through call. I get that. That seems pretty standard, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I expect a call every week, every couple of days, whatever. We talked before the show and I started counting them all off Francesca style. I had over 30 phone calls the day we're recording this
That's
podcast.
Unbelievable.
I was so mad. It was to the point, Wes, where like if somebody texted me, I was like, fucking leave me alone. Like stop it. Like
they would text you too?
No. I mean like Lauren's not here.
I see.
She's in Boston. Like Lauren would text me or like Joe or my mother, like those people who texted me today. And like anytime they text me, I'm like, stop it. Like, I didn't say it to them because it's not their fault, but I'm just like, my phone just won't fucking stop.
Buzzing.
Oh my God, it was brutal.
That's tough, man. Well, good luck with finding the insurance. Hopefully, one of those 40 calls will help you. It didn't sound like they would be very helpful.
No. I tried. And the weirdest part was I legitimately said to one person, "Can you please help me get taken off this list? Because I want to I don't need the help or whatever." It's like, "Okay, sir, understood. Have a nice day." And I'm like, "Wait, what? Like I didn't just say no. I asked for your help. What the fuck?"
Yeah.
They just hung up on me.
Just assume that they're doing it then.
So everybody, make sure if you're filling out insurance stuff, don't fucking give them your phone number if you can help it, and make sure you read the fine print and really take it seriously because they're gonna spam the fuck out of you.
Yeah, they're hungry. Those insurance guys.
So
I hear you.
bad.
Well,
God.
Congratulations on the soon to be move here.
Thank you. Yeah, we are very excited about it. A little, obviously nervous because you got to do the move and all these different things, and I got to move
you
this
guys will
place
get it
too.
together.
What?
You guys will get it together. Okay.
I think the other thing for me is I got to move this place too. It's not just like because I own the place, so it's a little bit different. So that's a whole other thing. But it's first.
Well,
world
are you keeping the current place?
No. Well, ideally not. I'll tell you more about the details after the show. Well,
okay.
my hope is, but for now, we got to get to
Shared Universe.
So Dork did that doubleheader last week. So I'm assuming they're doing. Is Miss Marvel done? Because I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah, it is done. Yeah.
So I gotta assume they're doing that this week. I gotta assume Mac and Goo is doing that this week.
I think Mac and Goo already did Miss Marvel. They've been on a tear. They might be off this week, as far as I'm concerned. But I'm not sure what Dork is doing.
Mac and Goo's schedule is so I don't understand it.
It's erratic, but people listen though. The people. It doesn't matter. They still show up. I still show up.
They give people what they want. There's no doubt about that. But I get very confused with their scheduling. Dork is like us. They record on the same day. It's out on the same day. Mac and Goo just put stuff out on Tuesdays, but I never know what they're whatever. Anyways,
sometimes you do a live stream on a Thursday and then put the episode out on a Tuesday. I don't know.
Making the people wait, but at least they give the people stuff. Unlike People for Communism podcast, which I think you would normally say it's kind of ironic they're not giving the people what they want.
Or fitting actually.
Oh well, see there you go. You know communism better than I do.
Depending which way you look at it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. But
one of my favorite things is when people ask what they would do when communism finally takes over, and they say, "Well, I will read books in the afternoon and then garden in the evening, and then I take a nice sound sleep." And they're like, "No, you're going to work in the coal mines.
Yeah,
you don't have to choose. We choose for you."
That's true. They choose for you. I don't even. Work in the coal mines. I mean, we can have fun with that though. If it was the whole DSG,
hi ho, off to work we go.
Yeah, but if it was just us, it'd be like just like one person by himself. You don't know anybody. You might get the black lung, which we
could get the black lung. Yeah, but I would. I think we would bond over the songs that we would sing while we're going.
You'd make. See, you'd be fine. Like in the yes, it would suck, of course, but like you, Wes, would be fine because you just know how to get along with people and just how to make friends, and you'd find something in common. Like you'd make it work.
I'm not sure if I would want to make friends with people who are controlling my life, but I see your point, and I appreciate that.
No, not
you
them.
Make the best out of it.
No, I mean the coal miners that you get stuck with.
I know, I got you.
I'd probably just be like, "Don't fucking talk to me. I don't want to be here right now. Get out of my face."
I would say very much different then. I would say the exact opposite. I think you would be the friendly one, and I would be like, "Get out of my face." But now I'm just projecting, I guess.
Wow, it's funny how we have that positive view of each other, but not of ourselves. Interesting. But for the People for Communism podcast, is this right? They're doing best characters from Stranger Things?
They already did. It's out there as a crow flies right now. So better late than never. But we got it's there for you.
If anybody out there, I said this to the DSG chat. If anybody out there finds an Eddie Munson pop with his guitar, not the one without the guitar, because I think that's out there. If they find that at Target, let me know, please, because I want that thing desperately. It's going for like $110 on eBay. I'm not paying that for a pop, obviously.
Inflation, man.
It's crazy. TLDR, Superman, Son of Kal-El, and Black Mass Rising. So a mainline episode this week. Haven't done one of those in a bit. I've heard it both ways. Season 4, I think episode 15 of Psych, because they didn't do anything last week, I think.
Vacation, right.
Yep. We got Backcracker on Twitch. I think Joe's the only one that really twitches in any capacity these
Mhm.
days. Shime Time. Shime's obviously busy with his new gig. Not really new.
Not enough time for Shime Time.
And then Davey and Keith. Keith, I think, twitches more than anybody, more than Davey does, but that's on their YouTube page, the hashtag Dork YouTube
What a
page.
relief for Keith. Yeah.
Wow, look at that. But like we mentioned it, Miss Marvel, that's the plan for next week, right? In San Diego Comic-Con?
Yeah, and maybe a trending now recap of San Diego Comic-Con, kind of hit some of the high points there, some of our thoughts, and then we'll have Miss Marvel, better late than never. But we'll have it. We'll have it for you there.
And at the same bad time.
Oh, as always, at the same bad time, same bad place.